At number 10, Jussie Smollett. Former Empire star Jussie Smollett made headlines a little while back after faking an attack for attention. Jussie made a claim that he was attacked by a group of people as a hate crime, but after further investigation, it was discovered that the entire altercation was made up by the actor. As a result of the scandal that followed, Jussie was let go from Empire and has been hard-pressed to find work elsewhere. The reason why he made up this altercation was an attempt to get a pay raise from the producers of the show, as he was not happy with the salary that he was already making. Now, Hollywood executives know him as someone who will do some shady things to get what he wants, including filing a false police report and faking an assault just to get people to get him more attention. After the incident, Jussie started losing a lot of work and his career hasn't really picked up much since, with some sources saying that he might be blacklisted. At this rate, 2022 might be as challenging as 2021 was for the actor, and Hollywood might not have a place for him in the coming year. At number 9, Johnny Depp. Actor Johnny Depp has really been going through it lately. He went through a high-profile legal case and a lot of information was exposed, but even after the legal battle against the Sun publication was over, he started losing work. First, he was asked to step down from his role as Grindelwald in the upcoming Fantastic Beasts film, and fans found out that he had been blacklisted from Disney as well because of the scandal that is still ongoing with Amber Heard. Now, even though many people are siding with and trying to defend Johnny, it doesn't seem to be making much effect in Hollywood. Fortunately, because of Johnny's image in the media at the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to book many roles in 2022. On top of that, he's still dealing with a lot of legal cases with Amber right now, so acting might not be his top priority at the moment. You might not see much from Johnny in 2022, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Before we carry on talking about some celebrities who might not find work next year, why not take some time to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel as well to see more videos like this one.
At number 7, Matthew Morrison. Not only should Matthew Morrison be dancing alone after being fired from So You Think You Can Dance, but he should also be forgotten in 2022 after he failed to comply with competition production protocols that prevented him from being able to judge the competition fairly. Matthew would be fired for his pretty odd behavior. Matthew would end up getting himself axed off the Fox's reality competition show after he had an inappropriate relationship with one of the female contestants. Later it would be revealed that the two never met up offset, but he had been sending her some direct messages on social media that definitely crossed the line. The dancer would then reveal that she felt uncomfortable with his line of comments, and then she took it all to the producers. When Fox finally got involved, Matthew would be fired after they conducted their own investigation. Now, a lot of us were shocked Matthew would do such a thing, as the Glee star had 2 children and a wife. Matthew was this perfect wife guy, or so we thought, and then we found out he betrayed her in such an unflattering way, and it was truly disturbing. And number 6, Fred Savage. When it comes to actors doing some pretty questionable things, actor and director Fred Savage shocked us all this year when misconduct accusations leveled against him started to arise. The accusations would then soon cost him his executive producer and directing job on the current ABC reboot of coming-of-age TV comedy. When a 46-year-old woman came forward to accuse Fred of misconduct earlier this year, we would all come to know that Fred had a dark alter ego, and it would also be exposed that he had some pretty strange relationships with women that were much younger than him working on the crew, as he would give them gifts and would have them stay in his Atlanta home. While in the home, Fred would go on to belittle them and make them feel worthless. After one woman finally was able to get away from the set, he would continue to text and call her for weeks, and she would later sell one of the voice messages to the paper. Now, I think I should point out that it's also been said that Fred never once acted this way in front of the producers and the actors on the set. However, he would show his darker side to some of the below-the-line employees who felt like they were powerless. And number 5, Will Smith. Will Smith definitely shocked fans and viewers when he walked onto the stage and had a huge altercation with Chris Rock during the 2022 Academy Awards. And now, Will has even gone on to blame Chris Rock for his bottled rage that was unleashed. Will would go on to say during an interview on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah that he was going through something that night, and that didn't justify his behavior, but Chris's behavior caused him to just lose it. Will has also gone on to say that he learned from the incident when he said, "What I would say is that you never know what somebody's going through. I understand how shocking that was for people. I was gone. That was rage that had been bottled up for a really long time. That was a horrific night, as you can imagine. Now that night was definitely an embarrassing moment for both actors, and I think Will needs a much needed break from Hollywood, and that's why he made this list today. Number 4, Kevin Spacey. For more than 3 decades, it seems like Kevin Spacey could do nothing wrong. From his first start in 1986 on Broadway to his 5th season on The House of Cards, Kevin Spacey was at the height of his career when his actions would cause him to fall from grace. Kevin would become a disgraced actor, devastating news of his actions would surface, and he would then head to his Twitter the next day to say he was beyond horrified by the stories that were released about him, and that he tried to claim he couldn't remember a single thing about the alleged incidents. He would also try to apologize by blaming his behavior on being under the influence. The same day, Kevin's longtime talent agency would sever ties with him, and even Netflix would end their relationship with the star. And just like them, we should forget Kevin. After being dropped, Kevin would also enter into some court cases after the allegations that arose against him. On October 7, 2022, Anthony Rapp would testify against Kevin, and he would say he was frozen and felt powerless as he didn't know what to do. At the time of the incident, Anthony was only 14, and this wouldn't be the first person to come forward, as the trial's first witness, Andrew Holtzman, would claim Kevin made similar moves on him during the summer of 1981.
At number 3, Katherine Heigl. A lot of people don't like working with Katherine Heigl because of how rude she is. She's been known to be mean to people on set, have high demands, and just have a really bad attitude. She's known to be quite critical of the roles and material she's given, and she even brought this up when she withdrew from the Emmy nominations because she said that the material she was given for Grey's Anatomy didn't warrant an Emmy. That's certainly disrespectful to the writers, because for someone to say something like that implies that the writing wasn't good enough to please people, whereas the people at the Emmys thought it was worth the award. Katherine is also known to make ridiculously high salary demands, and apparently she's been doing this since before she became a big name in the industry. She's reportedly hired and fired a lot of publicists and assistants over the years, so she really sounds like quite the diva. Because of all this, directors and Hollywood execs don't want to work with her anymore because she's a nightmare to work with. People say that she's been blacklisted from Hollywood, so the chances of her booking anything substantial in 2022 are pretty slim. At number 2, Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner has been having a rough time in Hollywood lately. He's pretty much disappeared from the media, and many think that the actor has been blacklisted from Hollywood because no one wants to hire him. Since finishing up his time in the Twilight Saga, Taylor hasn't really seen much success. After the franchise ended, Taylor went looking for work, and at first, people were ready to offer him some good Hollywood parts. He was still a big name in the industry after he got so much fame from playing his character Jacob Black in the Twilight movies, but soon Hollywood executives realized that he's just not the powerhouse that they were expecting. The first few movies that he starred in tanked at the box office, and between this and his high asking salary, no one was keen on taking a chance on the actor. In the years since, he's appeared on some TV shows like Scream Queens, but other than that, we haven't really heard much from him. He recently got engaged, so maybe he's just focusing on living a simple life for now, so maybe we won't see him come back to Hollywood in 2022. And finally, at number 1, Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry made headlines this year after their interview with Oprah back in January. Since then, they've been in and out of the news, and a lot of people have wondered if Meghan will make her return to acting after leaving the royal family. She's already narrated a documentary about elephants that's on Disney+, but can we expect more from Meg? Well, the answer is maybe. Things might still be a little touchy with the actress and Hollywood because of all the drama surrounding her and the royal family, so we might not see much from her in Hollywood in 2022, but maybe sometime soon we will watch Meghan return to the spotlight once again.
At number 10, we have Billy Ray Cyrus. After Miley Cyrus would break digital ties with her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, some dark secrets would start to be released, and we would be left feeling confused, trying to figure out what actually went down. To get you all up to speed, Billy decided to divorce Miley's mom for a younger woman. Miley would ultimately disapprove of her father's decision and would go on to unfollow him on Instagram and cut him out of her life completely. The situation would later escalate when it was revealed that Billy is now a singer fire roast. Sources have also said that the two met and have been close, and they've been waiting for her to reach an older age before making the relationship an actual thing. Now, the words Miley would have with her father over the whole situation have both not eager to make amends, and it's honestly really disturbing to see Billy's true colors come out. It's sad to see this once close duo break ties, as a father's bond with their daughter is always one that can't be undone, but with Miley believing that her mom was the only one, always there for her, I don't think we'll see Billie and Miley make up anytime soon. And number 9, Amber Heard. After facing humiliation in a courtroom and having her lies finally exposed, it's clear Amber Heard is just one actor we should leave behind in 2022, because she should never be an actor again. Now, Amber's career in Hollywood wasn't really strong because other than her role in Aquaman, she's never really been a hot ticket, and it's clear that Johnny was the one who made her truly interesting. When a jury found in favor of Depp, like they should have from the beginning, Amber's name would be tarnished, and with it, we would all judge everything she's ever said or done. Amber came out to ruin an innocent man's career, and as soon as the trial started, the whole world would have seemed to turn on Amber Heard. Her Believe All Women story was heartbreaking and disturbing, as all she's ever done was burn bridges and tell lies in an attempt to gain more fame, and she's become someone that we can't even believe rose to stardom in the first place. I really hope during her break from Hollywood she can focus and reflect on what she's done, and that she'll come out with a proper apology for Johnny, as she ruined his career, and to see Johnny fall the way he did was truly saddening. And number 8, Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is a pretty controversial figure that doesn't really deserve his superhero status any longer. Coming off of disastrous business quarter, Warner Brothers still has to make up their minds about what to do with The Flash and Ezra Miller going forward due to his ongoing publicity scandals. More than half of America believes that Ezra should be cancelled and that The Flash should be reshot with a different actor. With felony and other charges coming to light, people believe that if Ezra stays in the spotlight anymore, his behavior is only going to get worse, and more scandals and crimes will soon start to arise. Warner Brothers should act fast and remove the actor from the project, whether that be from promotional material or credits, or at least condemn their actions and flag them in the future. Ezra keeps lashing out, and it's an actor we just need to forget about as soon as possible.
At number 7, Shia LaBeouf. From what we've seen in the news over the years and from what we've heard from celebrities, I think it's safe to say that Shia LaBeouf isn't doing too great in Hollywood right now, and we should probably forget about him next year. There are people who are still fans of the actor, but after hearing about his questionable and sometimes downright disrespectful actions, idolizing Shia probably isn't for the best. He's someone who's faced a lot of allegations as of late. Last year, Shia faced allegations from his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs after she filed a lawsuit against him detailing some of the encounters that she had with him. Twigs alleged that he threatened to crash her car with her in it if she didn't profess her love for him, and claimed that he would sometimes grab her so hard that she would bruise. Even singer Sia came forward with her own allegations against the actor, saying that she too had been emotionally damaged by Shia. On top of that, he was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling, due to his alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that Shia is, quote, not an easy guy to work with. His career isn't what it used to be, so all I can say is maybe we should forget about him. At number 6, Hartley Sawyer. Hartley Sawyer is one actor who might never come back to Hollywood after he got exposed for his incredibly offensive tweets back in 2020. Hartley, who's best known for having played Ralph Dibny, aka the Elongated Man on CW's The Flash, faced a heck of a lot of backlash when many of his past tweets were brought to light. These tweets, which span as far back as 2009, highlight Hartley's horribly offensive attempt at humor, with many of his so-called jokes including racist, sexist, homophobic, and even violent messages. These tweets were brought to light during the Black Lives Matter movement that saw a big jump in support last summer, and as fans dug deep into many celebrities' lives, this was one of the biggest stories of celebrity exposure to come out during that time. As a result of these offensive tweets, Hartley was fired from his role on The Flash, and he hasn't been seen on social media since issuing an apology for his actions. Because of the reputation he now has for being offensive, combined with the fact that he's been out of Hollywood for so long, I have a feeling that Hartley won't be back in the spotlight for a very long time, so 2022 might be his year to be forgotten about in Hollywood. At number 5, James Franco. James Franco has been slowly losing respect in Hollywood to the point where he's losing work and connections in the industry. Things started to go downhill for the actor back in 2014 when he got into a scandal after he tried sliding into a fan's DMs only to find out that she was actually 17 years old. James met a girl visiting New York City at an autograph signing outside of his Broadway show. The two took pictures together and she tagged him, which obviously led to him finding her Instagram and DMing her. The two talked for a bit, and after their conversation continued, James asked for her number, her age, her relationship relationship status and whether or not he should have booked a hotel room for the both of them. Luckily, nothing ever ended up happening between them, but the fan ended up exposing their conversation online, and James faced mild backlash. After that, people got a very different impression of the actor, and a lot of people started to refuse to work with him as well. Because of his public image, he should probably be forgotten about in 2022. At number 4, Chris D'Elia. Last year, Chris D'Elia faced multiple allegations of misconduct and harassing young women online, and though this all started back in 2020, things haven't cleared up for Chris, and that's been really bad for his career. Multiple women came forward to share their unpleasant experiences with him, from unwanted advances to indecent exposure and manipulation last year, but more accusations have also come out in 2021. In a lawsuit filed back in early March, Chris was accused of soliciting private content from a young woman under the age of 18. Though this happened in 2014 when she was 17, she was inspired by the other women who've come forward to tell her story and seek justice. The investigation into Chris's alleged crimes has revealed that he solicited over 100 photos from this woman. His actions and experiences with these young women have impacted their lives, and now they have to live with that. Because of the allegations against Chris, his career has been completely damaged, and he was even dropped by his agency and manager. You never want to support someone who's done the things that Chris has, and just knowing what he's been accused of just shows you that he can't be trusted as a role model to anyone, and because of that, he should probably be forgotten about in 2022.
Number 3, Jennifer Lawrence. It's no lie when I say everyone seems to be sick of Jennifer Lawrence and her very odd behavior lately. It's no doubt in 2022, she became pretty invisible, and it should honestly probably stay that way so she won't risk doing any more controversial things. While the star has tried to blame her exit from Hollywood on the fact that she just felt like an imposter and that everyone was fake and that she felt like people were sick of her, that definitely wasn't actually the case. We were more actually just against the star for doing things that made us all shake our heads, like the time she caused sacred rocks to fall in Hawaii because she thought it'd be a good idea to scratch her behind on him. Not only would she cause locals to think a curse was finally released, but she would also proceed to make jokes about the incident that just weren't right. Jennifer has given us some pretty poor performances, such as her role in the movie Mother. However, her poor attitude and over-the-top persona is why we should forget about her in 2022. Number 2, Sam Elliott. In March of 2022, Sam Elliott would slam the film The Power of the Dog in Marc Maron's podcast. He would go on to say the film wasn't good and he was upset with the illusions it showed of the LGBTQ community. Sam would go on to say the characters wore bow ties and not much else. In addition, he went on to say that Jane Champion was a woman who knew nothing about the American West. Jane would then clap back by saying Sam wasn't a cowboy and he was actually just an actor. Now, after facing much backlash, Sam would then apologize for what he said on the WTF podcast, and he would acknowledge that he said some things that definitely hurt people and that he felt terrible. Sam would go on to say, the gay community has been incredible to me in my career, and I mean my entire career from before I got started in this town. I'm sorry I hurt any of those friends and someone that I love and anyone else with the words I used. But was his apology even enough? And number 1, Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg found herself suspended from the ABC's The View after comments made in January 2022. When she came out to apologize by saying she would take the time to reflect, learn about the impact of her comments, all of us couldn't even stand by the star any longer, especially when she tweeted a recap about what she said, trying to justify her actions. She would then try to rebuttal her statements, but at that point she already damaged her career. Now, Whoopi has been known to make some pretty controversial comments over the year, like the time she came for Bella Thorne about the photos she released so a hacker wouldn't get the best of her. Whoopi's comments have been out of control for years now, and it's actually pretty surprising it only took her this long to be cancelled. With Whoopi having such a powerful career in Hollywood as a woman who came from nothing, it's surprising that she uses so much controversy in an attempt to stay afloat, because the star could use her voice to end hate instead of starting it.
And in number 10, Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes' career was taking off and he was known for many roles, but his career was derailed not because of his acting or even anything he did in public, but instead because he didn't pay his taxes. You'd assume that he would just pay it back and it would be no big deal, but his tax evasion was so egregious that he was actually sentenced to jail for his crimes. He was found guilty of willfully not filing taxes for 3 years and got 1 year in prison for every year he didn't pay taxes. He was also forced to pay back $17 million to the government. This was what he owed in taxes, along with fines and penalties. His time in jail put his career on hold, and when he came out, no one wanted to hire him. And at number 9, Paz de la Huerta. This actress was going to be huge. Even when she wasn't that well known, she was being covered in the press for her outrageous antics. Like one time when she allegedly went into a sauna while covered in honey. While she was filming the show Boardwalk Empire, she developed a reputation for being a party girl, and this was basically the beginning of the end. TMZ got footage of her incredibly drunk after the Golden Globes. She even slipped and fell at one point. Then she was arrested for assault after she allegedly threw a glass at someone, then punched them in the face. Things got worse when reports came out that she was horrible on set, and she would show up to set erratic and unprofessional. She was fired shortly after, and her career did not recover from the hit. And at number 8, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green gained prominence in the 2010s, and he was actually a pretty big name in the industry. He even got some acting gigs as a result of his music success, and he started judging on The Voice. But it seems like his big mouth ended up getting him into trouble. In October of 2012, he was accused of SA, a form of assault, and he ended up getting sentenced to probation and community service. But the real issue happened when he spoke about it on Twitter days later. He basically argued that if someone passed out and someone else tries to take advantage of them, it's not violating them because they consented. Obviously this makes no sense and is just incredibly disturbing. He said in part on Twitter, quote, "If someone is passed out, they're not even with you consciously, so with implies consent." After this, he was kicked off TV, and he was even kicked from festivals that he planned to perform at. He's laid low ever since.
At number 7, Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake started facing a lot of backlash this year, with fans of Britney Spears flooding his social media pages and demanding that he apologize after the way he treated her in the media after their breakup in the early 2000s. The Framing Britney Spears documentary that was released looked into the way that the pop star was shown in the media, from the paparazzi to interviews, and it dives deep into how this stardom affected her. A big part of the documentary explores Justin Timberlake's role in the media's mistreatment of Britney after their public breakup in 2002. After their relationship ended, Justin made Britney look like the villain in the relationship, accusing her of cheating and essentially weaponizing their breakup to boost his own career. This prompted the media to put a lot of blame and shame on Britney, who really didn't deserve it. Now that fans in the media are revisiting Justin's actions, there are a number of people calling for accountability, and this could hurt his career. Because of all of the drama that Britney faced this year, and combined with people digging into her past, the fact that Justin played a role in the media's mistreatment of the pop star may hurt his career and might make it harder to find work in the new year. At number 6, Jamie Lynn Spears. Another person whose career may be damaged after this drama with Britney Spears is her sister Jamie Lynn Spears, who got caught up in the scandal that was her sister's conservatorship case. There was a lot of family drama involved, as you could imagine, and instead of laying low, she stepped into the spotlight, and doing that attracted a lot of hate towards her. Many of Britney's fans criticized Jamie for not standing up for her sister and watching her suffer through the conservatorship for so long. Things took such a nasty turn for Jamie that it's damaged her relationship with Britney, and now with the massive amount of support that Britney had garnered over the last few months, an enemy of Britney is an enemy for everyone. Britney's fans are watching her sister like a hawk, waiting for one wrong move in order to cancel her, and this bad press probably wouldn't make Hollywood executives want to hire her over fears of bad publicity. At number 5, Chris Pratt. It seems like Chris Pratt is having a hard time in the media lately. Chris has been making headlines recently because people want him to be canceled. First, back in 2020, people were upset with the actor because he didn't publicly support Joe Biden, and a lot of people also took to criticizing his Christian faith. Now, someone's faith is no reason to hate someone, I will say, that is just absurd, but it still had a lot of people going off at him. On top of that, just recently, Chris faced backlash after he posted about his wife Katherine Schwarzenegger and how she gave him a gorgeous, healthy daughter, end quote. This had people running to his ex Anna Faris to support her because fans believed that Chris's comment was a dig at the fact that their son Jack was born premature and had to spend time in the NICU before being allowed to go home after he was born. People called Chris out for his choice of words, and they're using this as further fuel to use against the actor. I feel like with this tension bubbling up, 2022 might be the year that Chris Pratt actually gets cancelled, and this might have a very big impact on his career. At number 4, Lea Michele. TV and Broadway actress Lea Michele was cancelled in 2020 after a bunch of people came forward to expose her for her awful on-set behavior, and apparently she still remains cancelled. Reports and accusations came out last summer detailing how she'd been known to disrespect people she's worked with in the past, and this all started at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, where one of Lea's former Glee co-stars, Samantha Ware, called Lea out on how the actress made her time on the show a quote, living hell. This ended up causing a chain reaction of other people coming forward to talk about their horror stories of working with the actress, with some revealing how she would disrespect and talk down to background actors on set, how she would delay production, and how she would refuse to talk to anyone face to face, and how she would even force them to speak with her assistant instead. Because of all this negative attention, Lea was cancelled, and as I mentioned before, that cancel status still sticks. Lea hasn't been able to bounce back from that drama that went down last year, so 2022 might be another rough year for the actress's career.
And at number 3, the Dixie Chicks. The Dixie Chicks are known as a legendary country group, and the ladies enjoyed chart-topping success while they were on top. But a wrong political move kicked the women off their pedestal. The lead singer Natalie Maines bashed President George W. Bush during a live concert in 2002. She said, quote, "Just so you know, we're on the good side with y'all. We do not want this war, this violence, and we're ashamed that the President of the United States is from Texas." But bashing the president was not as well accepted as it is now, and the women were promptly met with outrage. Country music genre completely blacklisted them, and their music was even boycotted by a number of radio stations in the aftermath. They tried to come back, but it didn't work. And at number 2, Jennifer Grey. Jennifer Grey was huge in the 80s, starring in movies like Dirty Dancing and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She was particularly known for her unique nose that was unlike the typical noses in Hollywood and really made her stand out. But while her career was taking off, she decided to get a nose job in 1989, assuming that it would help her get more roles. But the issue with this is that when she looked like everyone else, she wasn't unique anymore, and sadly her career shrank alongside her nose. Her nose job was minor, but because her nose was so distinct before, it made her completely unrecognizable. She said about the regrettable procedure, quote, "I went into the operating room a celebrity and came out anonymous." And because nobody recognized her, she stopped landing roles and her career faded fast. And finally, at number 1, Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was primed to be a football star. He was rising up the ranks in football incredibly fast and even signed a $41 million contract with the New England Patriots. But everything in his life changed when he was accused of killing a man. He ended up being found guilty of this murder and sentenced to life in prison. While in prison, he had apparently been linked to other deaths, and it's widely believed that he's killed 4 people. But the story with Aaron got even more tragic because he took his own life while in prison in 2017. Many believe this happened because of the shame the entire debacle caused him and his family. And at number 9, Megan Fox. Megan Fox's career was destroyed after one bad interview. She was primed to be one of the biggest actresses ever, as the leading lady of the Transformers franchise. But in one interview, she completely trashed the film's director, Michael Bay, and was cut from the movie as a result. During a 2009 interview with Wonderland magazine, she was asked about working with Bay, to which she responded that he wants to be like Napoleon and wants to have an infamous madman reputation. But then she said in real life, he's actually incredibly awkward with no social skills at all. Yikes. Steven Spielberg reportedly did not take kindly to her comments, and she was then kicked out of the 3rd and 4th film. After that, her career completely diminished, and she only just started to get back into the spotlight in 2020. And at number 8, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was once the most respected golfer in the world, as well as being one of the highest paid athletes. But that all came to a halt when his professional image was shattered after it was exposed that he had cheated on his wife with countless women. It all came to a head in 2009 when he crashed his Escalade into a tree in his own front yard, with many claiming that his ex-wife kicking him out caused the crash. After he confessed to all the cheating, his image was ruined and all of his sponsors dropped him. After years of laying low, he came back strong, winning the 2019 Masters, although he is still tied to his party boy image. His career took another hit recently when he veered off a hill and his car rolled down the hill, causing many injuries that might even mean the end of his career. And at number 7, Brian Williams. Brian Williams was one of the top news anchors ever, filling the coveted nightly news spot on NBC. He was even so well respected that he was frequently a guest on Saturday Night Live and 30 Rock. But that all changed when it was exposed that Williams was a liar. The lie first started back in 2003, and he basically claimed that he was riding in a military helicopter that was forced to the ground while flying over Iraq. The plane was hit by an RPG and almost crashed. He kept repeating the story over and over for years after, even mentioning it on The Late Show with David Letterman in 2013. But when the world found out this whole story was a lie, everyone was shocked and felt that they couldn't trust him again. He ended up getting a 6-month unpaid suspension from NBC, and his career took a huge hit. He never came back to his role and was demoted to a smaller network after. And at number 6, Paul Reubens. Paul Reubens was known to the world as the lovable character of Pee Wee Herman that was huge in the 1980s. The children's show even won an Emmy, enhancing his celebrity status even further. But things all went south in 1991 when it was revealed that he was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater. Because of this, Pee Wee toys were pulled from shelves across the nation, and he was out of the spotlight for the rest of the 90s. He tried to make a comeback years later, but that was halted when even more charges of a sexual nature were brought against him. After this, his public reputation hit new lows, and nobody wanted to be associated with him. But he did come back once again in 2016 to play Pee Wee Herman in the Netflix film Pee Wee's Big Holiday. Surprisingly, it had a good reaction, I assume because people forgot about his past. Halfway at number 5, Rob Lowe. So crazy enough, the person that we talked about last, Paul Reubens, is actually connected to Rob Lowe's scandal. Rob Lowe was a prominent actor in the 80s, however when Reubens was being busted by the cops, they discovered an adult tape starring Rob Lowe. After this, his career took a huge hit. Lowe did not end up facing any legal repercussions because the age of consent is 16 in Georgia, but his public reputation did not recover. He even lost a role in the Titanic because of all the scandals. But over the years he was able to get back into the spotlight and was cast in movies like Wayne's World, Tommy Boy, and Parks and Rec. And at number 4, Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was one of the biggest stars in the 2000s, starring in the hit show The Amanda Show, along with movies like She's the Man and What a Girl Wants. But sadly, like a lot of other child stars, she struggled to deal with the fame and derailed her career with substance abuse. This caused her to have a complete Twitter meltdown after she was arrested, tweeting all sorts of disturbing things. In her 2012 tweet storm, she told Drake that she wanted to sleep with him in much more colorful language. She also tweeted Rihanna telling her that, quote, Chris Brown beat you because you're not pretty enough. She ended the night by lighting a driveway on fire. Because of all this, she was put in a psychiatric facility and her career was put on hold. She has not come back to the spotlight since. And at number 3, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is known for throwing it down in the ring, wrestling his opponents, and putting on a great show. But after an adult tape starring Hogan was leaked, his career was never the same. You'd think it was because of the scandalous nature of the tape, but it wasn't that at all. It was because on this intimate tape, you can hear Hogan saying the N-word multiple times. To make matters worse, many of these racist comments were directed at his daughter Brooke's boyfriend at the time, who is black. He even said on the tape that he would feel better about her dating a black man if he was some sort of basketball player worth millions of dollars. Hogan sued the website Gawker after the fact for leaking the video, and Hogan got a massive payout from the lawsuit because his career was essentially over after that leak. He not only was removed from all WWE events, but he was even taken out of their Hall of Fame. And at number 2, Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried has an unforgettable voice that has made him a household name. After starring in many roles in Hollywood, he made his money by being the voice of the Aflac Duck. Aflac is an insurance company and the duck has been their mascot since 1999. But after he posted an insensitive tweet about a tsunami that killed thousands of people in Japan, he was promptly fired. The tweet said, quote, Japan is really advanced. They don't go to the beach comes to them. The tweet was made even worse by the fact that 75% of the business Aflac does is in Japan, and he offended their largest customer base. And finally, number 1, Miles Teller. Miles Teller burst onto the Hollywood scene in Damien Chazelle's 2014 directorial debut, Whiplash, which got plenty of critical acclaim. He even got a role in the Divergent series, which got him a lot more exposure. But his career really hit a snag because of a string of really bad interviews. In a 2014 interview with the New York Times, Teller said, quote, I feel like a lot of actors of my generation are not proper actors. I want to break out of that whole group of actors in their early 20s and really start to put stuff down that lets you know I take this seriously. He even trashed John Cusack after a reporter compared the two of them. Teller said they are similar in some ways, but quote, I don't want his career. In an interview later in 2015, he came off incredibly cocky. The author of the piece even wrote about Teller, quote, so yeah, he's kind of a dick. He started to get cast in things again, but public perception of him is still very bad. And at number 10, Demi Moore. Demi Moore's career was taking off and she was on her way to becoming a well-respected actress, but that all changed when the film G.I. Jane was released and put her promising career on hold. She was even awarded a parody award for the worst actress for her role in that film. But Demi doesn't actually see it that way, and she revealed that G.I. Jane is one of her favorite movies, and she feels that it's very underrated. Demi said in one interview, quote, "It was that kind of criticism that really sent me to a space where I lost a little bit of passion and that maybe disheartened me." One of the studio execs even shared how much the film hurt her marketability in Hollywood, saying, quote, "People just don't want to see her. We would have to drag them kicking and screaming to see this movie." And at number 9, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's career got a second wind when he landed the show 2.5 Men, and it became a smash hit. He had been known for his partying in wild ways that all played out in the media during his divorce with Denise Richards, but everyone seemed to forget about his questionable past when 2.5 Men started. But after some time being on top again, his career tanked once again because of substance. After the show's creator Chuck Lorre was growing tired of Charlie's substance issues, he decided to fire him. Sheen then had a meltdown where he screamed profanities at Lorre, including anti-Semitic remarks, which cemented Lorre's decision. Ashton Kutcher then replaced him, and after a few episodes, no one really cared that Charlie was gone. And at number 7, Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding should be known as a figure skating legend who was the first American woman to land a triple axel in competition, but she's not. Instead, she's known as the vicious woman who harmed her competition in order to stay on top of the skating world. Her career was primed to reach new heights until someone hired a hitman to break Nancy Kerrigan's leg in hopes of giving Harding a better shot at the national championship. It didn't take long for people to suspect Tonya was behind it, and eventually word got out that her husband, Jeff Gillooly, and his friend were the masterminds behind this plan. Tonya claimed that she had no knowledge of the attack before it happened, but she did admit she learned of it after. She ended up pleading guilty as a conspirator to avoid jail time. She paid a $160,000 fine, was forced to withdraw from the 1994 World Figure Skating Championships, and was banned from figure skating for life. And at number 6, Robert Blake. Robert Blake had a career spanning decades, and he went from child stardom to respected adult actor. But everything changed in his personal and public life when his wife was killed in 2001. The details of the case were incredibly suspicious, and almost immediately Blake was a suspect. Bonnie Lee Bakley, his wife, was shot in his car, which was parked around the corner from a restaurant the couple was eating at that night. Apparently, he left his wife in the car while he went back into the restaurant to look for his quote missing gun, and when he came back, she was dead. There wasn't enough evidence to charge Blake with anything until 2 men came forward shortly after, claiming that Blake offered to pay them to kill his wife. 3 years after his arrest, Blake was acquitted, though a civil court claim later found him guilty of intentionally causing Bakley's death and ordered him to pay $30 million to her kids. But after this spectacle, his career was done. Halfway at number 5, Alan Carr. One terrible performance at the 1989 Oscars not only ruined Alan Carr's career, but also a budding actress by the name of Eileen Bowman. Producer Alan Carr was left in charge of the Oscars, and his worst mistake was opening the show with a performance from Snow White, starring Eileen Bowman, that was a complete disaster. Firstly, it made no sense, and it was very eccentric, and then Rob Lowe joined later to make the whole thing even cringier. The Hollywood Reporter called the number a nightmare, while the New York Times said it had earned a permanent place as the worst Oscar embarrassments. The worst treatment probably went to Bowman, who fled the city and went home to San Diego within hours of the performance. She wasn't able to return, and it's still dubbed as one of Alan Carr's worst decisions. And at number 4, Rebecca Gayheart. Rebecca Gayheart was best known for her roles in 90210 as well as Jawbreaker, and her career looked like it was going to continue to be great until 2001, when she hit and killed a who was crossing the street. It was actually her negligence that led to the death, because other cars around them had stopped for the boy before Gayheart failed to stop and hit him. She settled a wrongful death lawsuit with the boy's family, but the damage to her career was done, and nobody wants to work with someone who was convicted of such a terrible crime. Since then, she's been demoted to small guest starring roles. And at number 3, Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner made a name for himself as the lovable hunk in the Twilight series, and he was cast in a number of other movies at the time because of his star power. But there were fears that he was asking for way more money than he was worth, and when the big paychecks Hollywood paid him didn't result in box office success, he was quickly blacklisted. To make matters worse, he starred in a movie called Abduction that was rated so poorly that Lautner ended up leaving Hollywood after. And at number 2, Alex Pettyfer. Alex Pettyfer rose to fame as the hunk in the movie I Am Number 4 and Beastly, but since he rose to fame so fast, his arrogance got the best of him and he was branded difficult and disrespectful. An unnamed source who worked with Pettyfer on the set of I Am Number 4 told the publication, quote, "He was a nightmare and irrational. He had no body of work to remotely justify his behavior. But that's not all. He also did a horrible interview in 2011 where he basically offended all of Hollywood. In the interview, he basically trashed LA, calling it a shithole, and saying that the people that live there are all see you next Tuesdays." Yeah, I can't say that word. Pettyfer did not reprise his central role in the 2015 Magic Mike sequel, Magic Mike XXL, and his work since is minimal. And at number 10, Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser was a huge movie star in the early 2010s, being known for box office hits like The Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth. But out of nowhere, he just stopped being cast in things, and his name started to follow the question, whatever happened to that guy? It seems his entire career changed course when he decided to turn down the lead role in the sequel to Journey of the Center of the Earth called Journey to the Mysterious Island. The role went to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson instead, and that movie was even bigger than the first. He not only decided to decline that role, but he also accepted roles in 2 other movies that flopped. After this, his career took a sharp decline, and he was not able to recover from it. However, he is now starring in a movie that will be released soon, and fans are calling it the Renaissance. And at number 9, Michael Richards. The legendary Seinfeld actor got serious backlash after he started calling a member of his audience racial slurs because this person was heckling him during a stand-up routine. This went down in 2006, and in response to the heckling, Richards decided to call him the N-word along with other slurs, and demanding that the African-American customer be thrown out of the club. The backlash was so harsh that he decided to leave the stage before his routine was even over. In 2006, Michaels tried to revitalize his image by apologizing for the comments on The Late Show with David Letterman. However, it seems the apology was not taken well because his career took a nosedive after that appearance. Since this incident, Richards has only appeared in 2 roles, one on Curb Your Enthusiasm and another on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And at number 8, Tila Tequila Nugent. Tila Tequila got her fame from MySpace, and at one point she was the most well-known person on the platform. Since she was an internet celebrity, MTV decided to give her a dating show called A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila in 2007, and she was even cast in a Hollywood movie as well. But her career came to a screeching halt when she decided to post an article to her website describing why she sympathized with who was of course the German leader during the Second World War. In the piece she claimed he was quote not a bad person as they made him out to be. She even posted photos of herself in his memorabilia. Tequila attempted to get her career back on track in 2015 when she appeared as a housemate on the UK celebrity Big Brother, but she was kicked out once people learned of her past. And at number 7, Kanye West. It's absolutely shocking that Kanye West still has a career despite all his scandals. Just some of his biggest scandals have been stealing the mic from Taylor Swift, being a public Trump supporter, and admitting his wife Kim almost terminated her pregnancy with North, along with starting feuds with most of the biggest rappers and singers. But even after all that and a failed presidential run, Kanye still has some of the most loyal fans ever. Some even think that his resiliency might just be in part to PR strategy, as Kanye only really seems to get into scandals when he has an album to promote. And at number 6, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey of course is one of the most talented singers ever, and even though she's gotten into some scandals for shading other celebrities in the past, the thing that really hurt her career was bad lip syncing. And in 2017, while she was performing live at the New Year's Eve show, millions watched as her performance became a complete train wreck. While she was performing the song Emotions, it seemed that her inner ear headphones stopped working and she froze, not really knowing what to do. After some terrible lip syncing, where it was clear her voice did not match up, she walked off stage mid-performance. After the fact, she claimed that she was set up by producers, but it was hard to believe and it looked like she was just too young to be performing. Halfway at number 5, Ashley Simpson. This is one of those accidents that sadly ruined her career. While Ashley was on SNL to perform, her first song went off without an issue, but her second song caused an infamous moment that the internet will never forget. When the music started, the vocals for the track she sang before started to play, making it incredibly clear she was lip syncing. Nobody knew what to do, so her band just kept playing while she danced around the stage and did not sing a word. In the days that followed, the singer was attacked in the media for lip syncing, which is especially bad on an all-live show. After the incident, she tried to set the record straight and explain why she lip synced. She told MTV that she lost her voice because of acid reflux, and instead of canceling the appearance, she thought it was better for everyone if she just faked it. But her career did not recover after that. And at number 4, Ryan Lochte. Ryan Lochte is an Olympic swimmer, and he was known to the world as a heartthrob. He went into the 2012 London Olympics with $2.3 million worth of endorsements. He was even more famous coming into the 2016 Rio Olympics, so his sponsorship deals were presumably even more. But when he didn't deliver in the Olympic Games, it seemed he took his anger out in the form of a lie. The incident was called Lochtegate, wherein he claimed that he and his teammates were robbed and their lives were threatened by some thugs in Rio. After many went out looking for the criminals, he was forced to reveal that he made the whole thing up. In the end, he lost several of his sponsorships including Speedo and Ralph Lauren, as well as his reputation. He was also banned from swimming for 10 months. And at number 3, Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle became a bona fide celebrity after he became the face of Subway sandwiches and promoted the sandwiches as a tool for his weight loss. His celebrity status even got him roles in movies and spots on late night shows. But this all came to a screeching halt when it was exposed that he had participated in indecent conduct with along with having illegal images. Fogle had been on the FBI's radar since 2007, and they finally arrested him in 2015. He got 15 years in prison, his wife divorced him, and Subway cut all ties with him. But unfortunately, his connection to Subway was too strong for the public to ignore, and the company's reputation took a huge hit because of the scandal. And at number 2, Paula Deen. Paula Deen was once one of America's favorite celebrity chefs, making good southern food for television. She was even cast on shows like Top Chef, Master Chef, Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and a role in an actual movie called Elizabethtown. But in 2012, her empire was destroyed after it was exposed that she regularly said the N-word. Deen was even sued by the general manager of one of her restaurants, as they claimed that Deen would frequently use the N-word in the workplace. In testimony during the trial, the manager's lawyer asked Deen if she had ever used the N-word before, and she replied, quote, "Yes, of course." After these statements, she was cut from the Food Network, and it seems that she doesn't even really care. She tweeted a photo of her son in blackface only years later. And finally at number 1, Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin is no stranger to controversy. It's partly what's made her famous. However, she took one joke way too far and it ended up costing her her career. In May of 2017, Griffin posted a picture of herself holding a decapitated Donald Trump mannequin head. She did this stunt in an attempt to mock Trump, but it kinda sorta looked like a potential threat against the president's life, which is not tolerated in the media. The FBI even investigated her over the picture. Griffin apologized, saying in a statement, quote, "I don't think I'm going to have a career after this, I'm going to be honest, Trump broke me." But months later, she actually retracted her apology and decided the backlash against her was too much. As a result, she was banned from CNN and her stand-up shows were cancelled.
At number 10, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer made headlines early this year as DMs were leaked on social media which showed Armie talking about his bedroom fantasies. Some of the things discussed in the messages were Armie's desire to eat someone and a lot of NSFW topics. Some people, like ex-partners, have come forward with their personal accounts of Armie's fantasies. Because of this bombshell story, Armie has spent the last year losing work and watching his career fall to pieces. When the scandal first broke, he backed out of an upcoming film project alongside Jennifer Lopez in hopes to save his career, but he also dropped out of a series he was cast for Paramount+. Now he's out of work and won't be finding any more anytime soon, as he's also been dropped by his agent and personal publicist. Hollywood will definitely not be casting Armie in any upcoming productions unless he's able to rebuild his image after the scandal, but even then, people won't be quick to forget about this scandal, so maybe it's for the best that we forget about him in the new year.
And at number 7, Remy Ma. At one point, Remy Ma was one of only 5 female rappers to ever top the charts, and was incredibly successful. But that all changed after she had some cash stolen out of her purse, and she assumed it was by a lady named Makeda Barnes Joseph, so Remy decided to shoot her. Apparently while the ladies were fighting over the purse, Remy's gun went off, and the other woman was shot 2 times. Apparently while the woman was on the ground bleeding, Remy took the purse and left. She ended up serving 6 years in jail, and when she came out, her career never recovered. And at number 6, Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner became a hero for LGBTQ people when she came out as trans in 2015, and brought trans issues into the forefront of the conversation. She continued sharing her journey on the show I Am Kate, but her good relationship with the trans community changed in 2016 when she revealed that she was a proud supporter of Ted Cruz and President Trump. Many people in the trans community found her opinions hypocritical, especially considering Ted Cruz is a vocal supporter of controversial anti-trans bathroom bills. Matters were made worse when Caitlyn did an interview on The Ellen Show and reluctantly revealed that she's okay with gay marriage, even then stating that she's very conservative in those beliefs. I Am Kate was cancelled after 2 seasons, and support for her in the trans community has dwindled. Halfway at number 5, Taylor Kitsch. Actor Taylor Kitsch was primed to become a hockey player, but at the age of 20 he was badly injured and had to find another path in life. This other path became acting, and after he decided that's what he wanted to do, he lived a hard life to make his dreams happen. He was even homeless at some points. He then landed the role as Tim Riggins in Friday Night Lights and quickly developed a loyal fan base. Then in 2012 he got the role of a lifetime, leading the John Carter adaptation. But it was a complete failure and lost the studio $200 million. After a similar failure months later with the movie Battleship, studios no longer wanted to take the risk on him as their leading man, and he stopped getting cast in lead roles. In at number 4, Chris Brown. Chris Brown was one of the hottest rappers in the game in the early 2010s, and after he started dating Rihanna, his fame exploded even further. But that all changed in 2009 when he physically Rihanna, leaving her face bloody and bruised. The domestic violence case led Brown's career to tank, as well as deals getting cancelled and his songs taken off of radio stations. He even had a request for a UK visa revoked because of this incident. His career and public image plummeted, but that was not the first time that he was in trouble with the law. A few years later, while in Times Square, Brown again lost control and threw an object at a window, causing property damage. He's also been involved in plenty of other domestic disputes as well as legal issues. Crazy enough, he still collaborates with tons of other artists, but the public will never forgive him.
At number 3, James Corden. This year people learned that they hate James Corden. The actor and late night host got in a lot of scandals this year, so another one in 2022 is probably a guarantee at this point, and we should probably forget about him in the new year. James has been known to undermine his employees at his late night show, and he's been faced with backlash for his Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts segment, as he's been known to use traditional Asian foods as part of the gross foods category. On top of that, he's faced a lot of scrutiny for his Golden Globes nomination for his role in the movie Prom, where he played a gay character because people thought that he used too many gay stereotypes in his portrayal of the role. On top of that, a number of people who've worked with him or have had encounters with the host have also made a lot of negative comments about him, making him look like a pretty bad guy in the industry. It seems like he's landing himself in more and more hot water as time goes on, so his popularity is dwindling. At number 2, Zooey Deschanel. Even though Zooey Deschanel plays fun, bubbly, and happy characters on TV and in films, her real-life personality is far from nice. Turns out Zooey is actually pretty mean in real life, and she's hard to work with on set. People who have worked with the actress have said that she's got a really bad attitude on set, saying that she acts very stuck up and has a big ego. Others have said that she makes large demands a lot, throws unnecessary tantrums about literally anything, and has a reputation for delaying shoots, but won't hesitate to go off on someone else who makes demands or delays shoots. Basically, she's got a really bad attitude, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people think that she doesn't get cast much anymore, because no one wants to work with her. I'm sure that there's a reason for her diva attitude, maybe it's stress or other factors, but she still rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the industry. Because of her reputation, we might have to forget about her. And finally, at number 1, Bella Thorne. If there's one thing that Disney hates, is when people talk badly about them. They like keeping their brand as clean and drama-free and family-friendly as possible, so when people, especially former stars, come out with their stories about working with Disney and have negative attention thrown their way, Disney does the best they can to shut that person out and cut ties to save them the drama. This is the case for Bella Thorne, as she's done multiple interviews talking about her bad experience working for Disney, and as you can imagine, that hasn't made the company very happy. Bella has told sources about how they used to force her to speak in a higher pitched voice to seem cute and wholesome, and she caused a scandal amongst executives when she was a young teenager because she was photographed in a bikini, and Disney wanted to fire her over it. Disney has kept their distance from Bella since she left the company to pursue more mature roles, and now there's no chance that they would ever hire her back. Because of her bad press and negative reputation, people might start forgetting about her in the coming year.